Listeners, this is a 1 million question every Nigerian should be asking his or herself. I know this song is more than 30 or 40 years or thereabout. Our brother Sonny Okosun, when he did this song, things weren't as bad as this. That's why we say they are prophets. Which way in Nigeria? That is a million question to be answered. And then as at the time of this song, that is when we had a wonderful national anthem. Though tribe and tongue may differ, but in brotherhood we stand. But today, where is that brotherhood? All right, today we'll be looking at Godfatherism in governance. That's exactly what we're going to look at today. And as usual, today I have an analyst in the house who is going to do justice to us. The man I'm talking about is a wonderful historian who has had accumulated wealth of experience as far as this country is concerned. He is also a current affairs analyst. He's not a man who swallows who can think, but he's a man who takes time to analyze issues, and that is why we're going to look at it. He's a historian. He's also a political affairs analyst. He is also a human rights activist. I am talking about no other person but Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi. Comrade, you're welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you for having me. A good day to you and to our listener out there.
All right, today we are looking at Godfatherism in governance. And what aspect of Godfatherism we are looking at? Before we go further, Comrade, I want you to give us a clue. Definition, if you may say, what is Godfatherism in governance?
Okay, thank you so much. Without going to conventional way of trying to define a specific authority, let me improvise. And by this, I simply mean let me define Godfatherism in a layman context. In fact, in a way I think our listeners will understand. Yes. Godfatherism simply means a political system or practice put in place where the structure or the political structure laid down works to perpetuate the importance and the power of one man who uses others as actualizing agents of his political goals. The man may be a governor. From there, he leaves office. He tries to put someone. He may be a president. He leaves office. He tries to put someone. You understand? So that's where you have Godfatherism. Unfortunately, we have not heard of Godmotherism. So it simply points to something, yes, that the anarchical politics we are witnessing, especially in Nigeria, have to do and to a large extent has to do to a large extent with the men who are dominating the political landscape. So Godfatherism, as I think with time as we progress, I'll begin to point the ills and perils associated with it, but it's a monster eating up the political.
Okay, let's not go there yet. I don't know. I think our listeners have got something there. From the definition of what Godfatherism is all about, it is about a one man, from what the comrade said. It is about one man whose aspirations and so on are fulfilled by a particular person as a result of his being there. It has happened severally. Now, we're talking about Godfatherism. How has it helped various states that have experienced it? Let us start from Abia State, our state.
Yes, thank you so much. Godfatherism, to the best of my knowledge, has not been helpful, than it has been counterproductive or unhelpful, largely, if you ask me. And I will explain why. Because democracy is not a government of one person or one party. Democracy is a government or a system that thrives through plurality and inclusion. Remember that in democracy, the minority have a say, even though the majority may have a way. The minority will have a say. But in the system, Godfatherism thrives. You see that it's not just about minority, it's not even about majority, it's about one person. And you understand? And that is when people or scholars begin to talk about democratic dictatorship. When one person hijacks all instruments of power and then decides who gets what, when, how. You understand? And then even in appointments, all the political structures and setups are laid to reflect his will and not the democratic wishes and aspirations of the people they purport to be governing. You understand? So that is when you begin to see Godfatherism. But in Abia State here, we've witnessed it with the dawn of 1999 return to Republic. Yes, with former Governor Ojuzo Kalo and his former chief of staff, former governor Theodore Ahamefudoji, both of whom they eventually ended at the Senate. You remember vividly that at a point, Dr. Carlo did 8 years, 2 terms, and then he handed over to Theodore Ahamefudoji. They both fell out. And I remember vividly that it climaxed to a point where the duo washed their dirty linen in the public. I remember at a public function when one of them stood up to say, when I was governor, I paid salaries, I didn't owe workers, rather, yes. And the other, to go a bit defensive, stood up and said, when I was a governor, I didn't take the state officials to a particular shrine for any whatever ought to be administered and stuff like that. So you see that people who suffer when Godfatherism thrives are the people who should benefit when democracy thrives. Just like it happened in River State. The House of Assembly had been brought down. It is going to be rebuilt with
okay. In the context of
Godfatherism, the sufferers are the people, because Godfatherism simply succeeds at perpetuating one man arrogance, one man government, one man show, where one person decides everything. You understand? And others are just actualizing agents. Those could be governors, commissioners, members of the State House of Assembly, or as it were in the federal level, it could be ministers, it could be president, or it could be anybody. You understand? So that is the problem with
all right. Now, that is one thing I want our listeners to understand, that every other person directly involved, either through appointment or yes, normally that's what it is when a godfather is involved, they are all actualizing agents.
Yes.
They only live by the bidding of the godfather,
yes,
who appointed them. And that is exactly what recently the National Assembly have been referred to as a rubber stamp, yes, because of what has been happening, irrespective of their constitutional functions, which it looks as if they are looking the other way at, and nothing is happening at all. And now many commentators now see them as rubber stamp. Do we also see the president, now I'm not just talking about Tinubu, the past president and so on, do they also act as godfathers?
Yes, let me tell you this. You see, in Nigeria, public officials or politicians are not elected into offices. They are elected into power. And when you talk about power, it's not about authority. There's a difference between power and authority. Authority is official. You understand? When you are exercising authority, it's official. It's given to you by the popular will and expressions of the people. But when you talk about power, there are different ways to it. It could be naked, it could be physical, it could be anything. You understand? So you see that in politics in Nigeria, we still have the military rule hangover of people being in power. So the president in Nigeria has this posturing of larger than life. He makes virtually all the appointments, and then he has the money to even bankroll the National Assembly we're even talking about. Their salaries will come through the frontline charge in the budget, and the executive articulate this. So to an extent, the president becomes a larger than life political figure, and then his image straddling the entire federation, and he is bigger than the political party. He is bigger than the federation. He is bigger than his cabinet ministers. He is bigger than virtually everybody, even the chief of even the chief justice of the federation, whom he appoints, even the umpire, the INEC. So you see that there is a way that the Nigerian president, in fact, it is being said that the most powerful president in the world is Nigerian president, because of the powers of appointment, because of oath of immunity. The Convention of Immunity clause. Yes, that you cannot even bring them before a court, and then even to impeach them is quite difficult in most cases. So you will now see that when such a person arrives and begins to use or exercise his powers, input, it's difficult for other arms of government to even perform their own functions, because these are the defects in the 1999 Constitution. Remember that at a point, Goodluck Jonathan told us that he had not even used a half of the powers vested in him as the president of the nation. Yes, and we are all calling for his head. You also the presidency that was Buhari's. We saw how the judiciary was actually bullied, how the Justice Onogen, thank God he just got a new appointment recently. Justice Walter Onogen was actually sacked. Then you saw how the National Assembly, then in fact we saw how it was besieged by hooded men of the DSS. Unfortunately, people like Saraki and It could imagine. At the point they were crying out that they were being manhunted or by the executive. So that executive rascality, that executive recklessness is always there, because in Nigeria the president is the leader of the party in power, and also the commander in chief, and then the head of state, and also head of government.
All right. Now, considering the constitution of this federation and that, don't you think that, like Bode George, one of the board of trustees of the PDP,
Yes.
has said that if the constitution is not written or amended, that Nigeria is heading nowhere than to crash. And now, what do you think will be the remedy to this? Before we go on break, let us look at this. Is there anything that could be done with this? Now, with what is happening, there was a program we did here, a National Assembly member from Gambia, a woman, who fought the National Assembly, the speaker, and so on, and said enough of this increment of salaries and sharing of money.
Yes.
And what about the people that elected them? And they are representing a group of people. They are not there for themselves and for their stomach. But such a thing has never happened in Nigeria. So what do you think is the remedy for all this?
I think the remedy for all this is to review our constitution, to make amendments thereof. And pursuant to those amendments, we begin to see how we can reduce the powers the president has. We see where we can reduce the powers or even increase the powers of the National Assembly. And then that the power of the judiciary, you understand, to create a balance in governance. In America, for example, former President Donald Trump, remember the state of Georgia, during the election of 2020, when he was losing, called the governor, a sitting governor there, asking his political favor, you understand, to help influence the outcome of the election. The man declined. Imagine where a Nigerian president is calling the governor on the phone. You know what that means? It's like almost God himself calling you on phone. So that's the problem we have here. So for us to get it right, I think we have to go back to the document. And let me say this, you see, one thing about constitution is that it has to be autochthonous. And when I say autochthonous, it has to originate from within the people. The 1999 constitution is a shambolic, in fact, it lied against itself, as one constitutional expert guru said. And I will explain why. Before you have a constitution, you have a drafting committee, you have an assembly, you understand? They come to debate on the merit and the demerits of certain provisions, items, and then other subjects of the constitution. After which they come up with a draft. You understand? The draft will become a constitution, and then it's being legislated upon. Then they make input. It becomes you even have a drafting committee. Such things never happened in 1999. What happened in 1998 to 1999 transition was that the General Abaka Junta now said, we do not have much time to begin to talk about Constituent Assembly, you understand, constitutional conferences and the rest of them. So let us have just a debate committee, you understand? They now had a debate committee, and they brought back 1979 Constitution, made little amendments, just few amendments, and then pronounced it 1999 Constitution. And by the night time some governors were being sworn in, I'm not sure there were up to 200 copies of that Constitution anywhere in the country. Some persons were even sworn to office without the Constitution. You understand? So today, the defect of the military product is affecting us. For example, INEC is a military creation through decree. But INEC is the one to manage our election, our democratic. In fact, the highest institution, the highest version of our democracy should be INEC. But it was created by the military. So the question should be, what type of arrangement do we want? Do we even want a unicameral legislature, that is one chamber legislature, or do we want bicameral as we're practicing? So all these things are things we ought to have gone to talk about, you understand? And then using our agreement, just like we had in the confirm of 2014, which I still regret was not implemented. When people come together to talk, to articulate, to discuss issues, burning and gray areas that affect them, that's when you can extract the commitments, the agreement, you understand? And then form autonomous law that belongs to the people, but not what we have with the 1999 document. And that is why the president is the be all and end all. The Senate just there to play minor role, and then including the judiciary.
And maybe that is why a lot of people agree that our vote does not count anymore. All right, having said that, we're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, issues of the moment will continue, and then we are going to look at other steps with this Godfatherism, how it has affected us from the definition of our comrade here in the studio, and with what is on ground. It is very, very obvious that it has not done us any good. Let us go and break and we'll be back shortly. Wonderful Nigerians are good listeners. I'm glad you're still there listening to your favorite station, the Living Radio 90.9, and also your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. And today we're looking at Godfatherism. Why is it important to talk about this? It is very important we talk about it because most of us are victims of these Godfatherism. Because when you're not directly involved, either with the father or the appointees, automatically you are on your own. That is why the government of Nigeria and various states is just one-sided all the time. And right now, remember, I'm still in the studio with Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi, and we're looking at it. Today, we've looked at Abia State. Before we get out from Abia State, Comrade,
yes,
just like you pointed out, from Ojuzo Okalu, the former governor of Abia State, we come into the era of T.A. Oji. But talking about Godfatherism, at a point, I know we may not have fared better, even when he said he was liberated. At the third year of his governance, he started shouting that he is in bondage. And that was when he left the party and joined another party.
Yes.
And then, I don't know what that would have, a lot of people would have interpreted that to mean, that must one remain, just like this one as I was coming to work this morning, somebody argued that Fubara should have obeyed the orders. I said, what do you mean by that? Mm. Somebody helped Nelson Wike to be there, to become a governor. And at the point, he fell apart with him.
Yes.
And then, why must somebody remain there? Instead of liberating your people, how can you be a governor? You gave somebody a video, bought a television for somebody, and then you are the one with the remote.
That's just the whole analysis. You understand?
So now let's come back to Adia now. So how would you say we have fared with it? At the point, he all just shouted. Yes. I wouldn't know whether we were better then, or when he was in bondage, or when he was out of bondage.
Yes, I think that there was something that happened in the case of the AOG. The defections were more than one. He went from PPA to Abga, from Abga to PDP.
Exactly.
Everything happened within 2 or 3 months. People used to jokingly, they would say, Ojukwu, who came to raise his hands to shout victory, has never even reached Newi when the man decamped to another political party. Yes, that's a jocular way of saying it. But let me capture it this way. I think that was the beginning of the setback Abia suffered. In fact, it heightened the setback Abia suffered in terms of governance. In most cases, you see that the right decisions were not even being taken. The qualified persons or personnel were not even being absorbed. And the discrimination started. We started hearing about non-indigenous and indigenous in the civil service administration. You understand? Because someone cried and said I was being held in captivity, or I was in political bondage. You understand? But when he became free, so what did he do? What type of governance did he even initiate?
That's why I asked. Did we fare better?
We didn't even fare any better. So at a point, people even still believe that part of the failure of the past administration has to do with the preceding one. I'm talking about the one of the what is the personal issue to talk about. But then the fact remains that it did not help Abia in any way. You understand what I'm saying now? It did not help Abia in any way, because instead of focusing on the real issues, the development issues, we were talking about blame game and then diversionary politics. This person will say, I was held for 4 years, I didn't do this. And we heard a lot of things they even invented, whether it's say Mama Karasi or Hakarasi, a lot of things they invented. Those things were distractions, and they didn't even help the state to thrive well. Even as we speak, vestiges of those things are still in Abia State, and it will take time to clear them entirely.
Now, that's a man who shouted that he was in bondage, who lamented about being in bondage, and a lot of Fabians rallied around him, the likes of Ali Machuka and so many of them, to make sure he was pulled out of that bracket of bondage. Bondage. All right, and then he handed over to someone else.
Yes.
When he could not allow even the Engwas to say, this is who you will take, he brought one and presented when they say it was time of the Engwas.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we experience that level of Godfatherism too, the continuity of Godfatherism in Okeze's administration?
But maybe not, because I'm not an insider now, but maybe not in the scale it was also experienced in the hands of Fortunes Okalo. Remember, a lot of stories were being bandied, many things, rumors were flying here and there, how the government was actually funding the former governor, you understand? Because what is at issue now, even in River State, is that there is an agreement, unwritten agreement, and that was what I was telling someone just this morning, just like you were coming to work, we were talking about River State. Someone said, Tinubu has tried to negotiate. I said, no. Tinubu has only talked about the written aspect. We now have written resolutions. What about the written agreement? Do you know how they are sharing money? Do you know what they didn't tell us in the public domain? So we may not know. I cannot be able to establish here that Theodore Oji suppressed Okezie Ikpeazu. I can say that. You understand? Because if it has ever happened,
the song was in the State House of Assembly.
Yes, as the speaker. Yes, many Abians believe that that was just a way of checking the governor, having your son or having that man as the speaker of the House of Assembly, and then the governor there means to a large extent the governor may not even be able to exercise powers as he may have to. You understand? If there were no such checks and then other political games we saw. But that's by the way. But what I believe is that, yes, I think the relationship between Theodore Ahamefloji and Okezie Ikpeazu to an extent was not that, in fact, didn't get ruptured like we saw between Oji and his godfather. You understand? That they do. We also all these things were in the public domain. You understand? That we were talking about shrine or fetish politics or whatever that they were administered and how he liberated Abia. But unfortunately, after alleged liberation, yes. Unfortunately, we don't even know where we are yet, whether we were liberated at the end of the day or not. So we can't even say categorically we are actually liberated. Because Godfatherism is something that, as we progress...
Let's leave Abia for now, because there is the very one at hand, because from what we have seen, the current governor of Abia State and his nascent administration, we've not noticed
anything. It's not beholden to anybody.
Yes, we've not noticed anything like Godfatherism. But it is important. It is also important to also note the River State is a neighboring state.
Yes.
And that is exactly what is playing out. And before we go into that of the River State, let us find out what brought about that. Why are they falling apart even as we speak now? And then from the grapevine we've had, even from the social media, that since the governor came in, the predecessor had to give in the names of all the commissioners, almost all of them, and all the key positions. And then the governor now becomes a mere stooge. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think that was that issue then. They said it wasn't even only appointments. The governor, in fact, unconfirmed sources had it that Governor Wike was the one who purchased funds for even the members of the House of Assembly. And that's why their loyalty is still tied to him. And then appointed some of these commissioners. And then that there were projects the current governor wanted to complete, projects that were never completed under Amechi, the man from whom Wike took over. That the governor fled up, say, you must not do this project, you understand? And then problems and here and there, and then they fell out. The man now realized that he could be a political orphan, because in fact he realized that, politically speaking, he was love-starved, that the people around him, both his cabinet members and the house, were just puppets of the governor, and that's what it is. So, and then Wike said something that you see, Wike was seeking loyalty when he could not be loyal. You see, he said something that actually indicted him, and I will say it anywhere, and on any platform. He said, nobody jokes with their structure. what structure is that if it's not what we call structure of criminality? So we have seen the written agreement. What about the unwritten agreement? You understand? What President Tinubu tried to mediate in terms of trying to broker peace or even try to reconcile the warring factions, did it in any way address the unwritten thing which they may have as bedfellows in their political bed? You understand? When they are trying to bring this idea. So who knows the agreement they had? Because there were unconfirmed reports too, stories from the grapevine everywhere saying that the man became angry because the governor was meddling in the revenue of the state. It's not confirmed, but I'm telling you. So how going forward, how would all this be taken care of? You understand? Because it's not enough to say let them, and then President Bola Tinubu should not even have meddled in that affair first, because it's not an APC affair for now. Wike is not yet a full-fledged APC member,
yes.
Although he is defecting, because if he's not defecting, those 27 guys will not be going to. Yes, until he has defected. Yeah. Now he's not fully an APC member, and this is not a federal affair. This is a state matter, and the PDP states for that reason. But then there is something we are all missing. You see, in the history of the Fourth Republic, it has never happened that one political party at the center controlled oil-rich river and then Lagos State. That is what we are seeing now. People are not looking at that direction. You understand? It has always been that whenever River State is at the center, Lagos State is playing the opposition. Or whenever Lagos State is at the center, River State is playing the opposition. In terms of what? Because there are times they need money to mobilize a campaign and whatever. It has never happened before now. So why would it not be PDP National Working Committee and stakeholders that will reconcile the matter? Then it will now be Tinubu, even in the State House, Abuja. So that unless the president doesn't have bigger fish to fry, you understand? So to me, I feel that he shouldn't have been. But then, and you see something about the whole thing. Just like you rightfully asked, is the people are the ones at the receiving end. Whether or not we like it, the House of Assembly had been brought down in the name of politics. You understand? Now we have illegality, a notion of illegality. 5 men sat down to pass a budget of 800 billion naira. And what are we going to say about the vacated seats? We go to section 109, subsection 1, paragraph G, where it talked about what people, how a member of House of Assembly can lose his seat if he defects to another party at a time when the election he won, being supported by the party from where he is the campaign, had not actually lapsed. You understand? So it's something we all should look at. And then I ask the question: what is the political landscape of River State? I will come from 1992. I don't even want to go to the days of the SPF and the rest of them. In 1992, Rufus Ada George was the governor. The botched Third Republic ended on the 17th of November 1993. Abacha came. That republic was sacked. In 1999, the man who was his deputy, Peter Odele, who was the deputy of Ada, became the governor. By 2007, it was not easy for him because it was not easy for him to force his choice on Rivers people. Then they chose Omehia, but Amechi went to the court and reclaimed the mandate. By 2004, 2015, Amechi was already having problems with the same Nyesom Wike, his longtime ally, who he made chief of staff and later projected, because those were the days when governors still appointed who the ministers from their state when their party is at the center. The man he appointed to be the minister of state for education, Wike, became an actualizing agent of the federal government then to dismantle Amechi. We all know what happened. That certain commissioner of police, Joseph Mbu, stripped Amechi of his security details in Rivers State. It happened. Then 5 lawmakers,
even as a sitting governor.
Yes, even as a sitting governor, 5 lawmakers were wanting to impeach the speaker, Amakri. You ask yourself, where has it ever happened before? Notion of illegality. Today it's happening again in the same state, and I'm happy seeing the snippets from what I'm seeing in the screen there, where that member was bearing messing up the other member. It happened in Rivers State. So the whole truth is that why will it be Wike? And Wike, who is seeking to who is seeking and someone's loyalty? How many times has he been loyal? Do you even think he's loyal Yes, he can only be loyal to his interests. And you see, if at all we want to dismantle Godfatherism, it will be to the benefit of the people, because in Godfatherism, the governor who is there is not accountable to the people, but to the person whose interest he's serving or is actualizing.
I think that's what Fubara is trying to.
Yes, and that's why the man is trying to free himself, and then it began to have a lot of dimensions and interpretations. Some saw it from the ethnic angle, say this is an attempt to politically outflank, outmaneuver, outdo the Ejop ethnic nation. But that's far from it anyway. But what I want to say is that it's an ill wind that blows no man any good. Now think of a House of Assembly that was built in 2003 with taxpayers billions of naira. One of the biggest complexes in this dispensation had been brought down to rubble. It will take time.
And must be rebuilt
with taxpayers' money. Is that not a setback? So it's a huge one, and nobody is a winner. The winners are the people now who have gone to Abuja to eat and dine and wine. You understand? The losers are the masses.
All right. At times one begins to wonder at what point will the populace, the people, the electorate who voted these people into power, at what point will they begin to enjoy the dividends of democracy? Because as it happens now, it's still within them. Elected, they are the one in Abuja enjoying themselves, and then and all not well. So what we're talking about, is it proper for you to give you want to give a person a gift, maybe a television? You give him the television, and then you are the one
holding the remote,
handling the remote.
Yeah.
Detecting the channels he should watch.
Yes.
And then why do you call that a gift?
Yes.
I think whatever thing we can do in Nigeria to ensure that anything concerning Godfatherism should be removed in the state, I think it should be done. I think this Fubara's case should have been a wonderful one.
Yes.
To put a stop to it.
Yes.
Because even at a point, Wike was not obedient to the party that he belonged to, even what people considered anti-party activities and so on. But the PDP then lacked the will to ask him off,
discipline him,
or even suspend or discipline him.
To order.
Nobody called him to order until now, even when he's working. Well, in this, we are also going to play a video where the chieftains of APC was calling Wike to order, telling him to face the job, that he's distracting the president. And when we look at that, finally, before we call it a quit today, what do we do to ensure that this thing is nipped to the bud?
Yes, to nip it in the bud, there are many things we have to do. One, you have to strengthen the constitution. Two, you see that these things happen because in some of these states, these governors are larger than life and they still receive salaries after they are gone. The fact is an example. I can say it is an example. Some governors will sit towards the expiration of their tenure. They will get the House of Assembly into passing a law that says pay them, and when you pay them, they use it to maintain their structure.
Sorry, remember I set up one of these non-governmental organizations, yes. Sued Ada River State and Ebonyi State, saying why should they be receiving these salaries?
Yes, it was set up. It's not just only, there's about 22 states in the federation. The Abia State is involved, River State is involved, Ebonyi State is there too. The reason why Anambra State was not...
Are you saying OT is paying
Peter Obi? Peter, if he's paying him, it is the law.
Okay.
OT didn't make the law. It is the law of the National Assembly. It is the state law. And you must do it. Unless you want to, the House of Assembly, not the National Assembly, to repeal that law and say, based on current realities, we can no longer use it. And there must be reason for it. He didn't initiate it. It was done, I think, under Ojos Okano or so. So these persons, they still receive money from me, even when they are at the Senate. You can imagine when you have 2 or 3 governors at the Senate, former governors at the Senate, they are receiving money as former governors. They are also receiving money as senators. Every 3 or 4 years, the state will renew their vehicles. They will also collect vehicles from National Assembly. You know what I'm saying now? So it's unfortunate for us. And when you see politicians, you see there's something they call structure. And it is through this structure that they maintain a godfather becomes more relevant. For example, a man like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I said yesterday in another intervention of mine that Wike is now a student of the Jagaban school of thought, of Godfatherism, and it's my personal opinion. We all know how powerful Tinubu is. You understand? How he built his structure. I give it to him. He's a master planner. How he built his structure from 1999 and made sure he was consistent in alliances he entered into, whether it was about ACN or AC. You understand? And he built that political platform, being able to dominate the entire Southwest. So when he went into any form of negotiation, he was coming from angle of strength. And that was why they made him leader of APC. Even when he was not the president, he was dubbed the leader of our party, APC. Later, when he said it was my turn, some powers, some interests were trying to push him down. He now reminded the Northerners how, using his platform, he supported one Atiku Abubakar under the AC, then Nuhu Ribadu under the ACN, then Tinubu under the
Buhari.
Yes, then Buhari under the APC. You understand? So such a person, you know, his standard in the politics and what he was bringing to the table. So what we are actually doing, they want to keep their relevance post governorship days. You understand? So that they are relevant, so that when they are coming with their structure. That is what Wike is seeking to do. This government is not about Fubara, it's about Wike. Wike is still ruling by proxy. If you have, for example, 9 or 10 commissioners withdraw their services, if you have 27 members of House of Assembly defect to another political party, you understand, overnight, if you have many people withdraw their services, it simply means that the people around the Fubara are not about Fubara, they are about Wike. You understand? And if what we are hearing is true, that he procured the forms for them, it simply means he just brought this man and put him, in fact, he's just separated this man.
Yes.
So that's the thing Godfatherism can do. That somebody is in power but cannot exercise the power he has. That somebody is in power but cannot even know his left and right. And that somebody is in power but is not accountable. That somebody is in power but is not responsible to the people who elected him. Because someone says, I brought the form for you. I brought you to the platform. Without me, you wouldn't have been there. And you didn't say, don't bring down the ladder. You used in ascending to the greater height. You may do tomorrow. That's what me said.
Yeah, he said so. All right. Looking at it, you mentioned Tinubu, and since he left the governance of Lagos State, has been the one who planned that becomes, the governor
of the state.
And remember the last time the governor, I've forgotten his
name,
Ambode
was sacked.
Yeah, just after 110.
After 110.
He did everything possible to come back.
Met Oyegun, they went, he knelt down and everything, he was gone. He was gone.
Then, and Nigerians are looking at that, and we still want it to continue that way.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. These are the narrative we must change. The perceptions we must change through the laws we make, through the practices we. I try to believe. You see, any governor that is living has no business whatsoever.
Yes.
Festing on the populace, a candidate. You understand? And that is why you say, if political parties were stronger and were actually strong enough, this will not be happening. It's because the governors believe that they are the one oiling or greasing the political parties with the state funds. So that is why they decide who will be the chairman of the party, who will be the secretary of the party, and then who will be the candidate of the party. That is why when a governor like Obaseki was defecting from the APC to the PDP had no choice than to allow him have access to all the party structure in the state. It became a problem. The same thing happened in Niger State when Theodoji came to PDP. There was a problem. The party at the center said, please, take control of everything. Now it's happening to Wike in River State. Why would Wike be an APC man, but his political allies were giving APC structure in River State?
Okay, now, shortly before we go, don't you think that the PDP is not doing anything about this? Because this Fubara remains a PDP person.
Yes.
He remains a governor under PDP.
Yeah.
And then what has the national body, what has the neck of the PDP done in making sure that there is peace, or even backing him up? And it, like you rightly pointed out here, Tinubu was not supposed to be the mediator.
Yeah.
Because he's of a different political party. Mm-hmm. Then what is the PDP doing? Or the PDP, are they afraid of weakness?
Yes. PDP has shown to be, in fact, if you had listened to the statement from the party chairman, acting chairman, Damagun, he said he is not after Wike, that the time for expulsion and discipline have gone. What they are looking for now is time to build the party together and then have everybody play one role or the other. But you cannot have a member of party who is not even committed. Who, as we speak now, I'm not even sure, I can't even guarantee whether he still pays his dues as a member of the PDP. You understand? Someone who's gimmick, in fact, his We all saw his outing in the last election, where, for example, he passed an executive order in the state forbidding campaign pictures, posters, and publicity materials from being erected or posted in some
Certain
yes, in some places. And we saw how he welcomed Tinubu, Peter Obi, Pankwaso, but not Atiku.
Atiku.
When Atiku came to his state, he was not there. So was he there? Instead of Atiku being the one to commission some of those projects, those so-called flyovers, it was Wike who took Tinubu, Peter Obi, and Pankwaso and the rest. You understand? Then what happens to his own party? So that's anti-party activity. Many things happen. You understand? And he bet and he even made it glaring. You understand? That he rejoiced that his party failed. And the party could not discipline himself.
And he also said nobody can expel him.
Yes,
Nobody can
because
expel him.
if you remember well, in 2019, the PDP convention was supposed to be held at either Jos or somewhere. He insisted, no, it must be brought to River State. And that was what I was saying earlier. Before now, it used to be if a party at the center is controlling Lagos, the opposition will have its mainstay in terms of finance, understand, from River State. Because this is an oil-rich state, this one is a corporate state in itself. So, Wike being the man, in fact, stole the show and then felt that he overreached himself. But given the political permutation in Nigeria, you understand, the demographics of this politics, we saw how the North actually took, they seized the whole initiative, and the man, Tambuwal, whom Wike supported, now betrayed him. And that Wike never forgave, and he kept saying it.
All right.
So we never seen Wike, the man who said he will never be a minister, and now he's the minister. He said he will never defect from PDP. He's almost gone. He said he will never go to APC. That APC is a cancer party.
Let's not say he's almost gone until we see him there.
Yes, but then if he's not going, if he's not getting closer to them, why would they give him over the party structure at the state? And why would those 27 men? Is it only APC that is in River State? Why didn't those men go to Labour Party or Accord Party or AA? Or
all right.
APC?
This is a 1 million question for our listeners out there. And this is the much we are going to take for the day. One thing we've learned today is that Godfatherism does nobody any good. And it is the way two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. And that's exactly what is happening. Anywhere you experience Godfatherism, just like we mentioned in the River State House of Assembly that has been pulled down, it will be the taxpayers' money that would have gone into a different thing altogether will be used to rebuild it, because it must be rebuilt. And so Godfatherism pays no one any good and does no one any good. And having said that, we are coming to the end of today's program. But before we go, comrade, just in 2 seconds, what's your final take on our discussion?
Thank you so much. My final take is that people should be more aware. I call for presence of mind and then active citizenship. Godfatherism is a monster that must be taken out before it takes us out. Thank you.
All right, Godfatherism, it must be taken out. And if we really want to get our states and our country better, and for everyone to enjoy the dividends of democracy, because the problem is because most of our leaders are so greedy, are so selfish, are so egocentric, are so clannish, are so nepotic. And because of that, the thing is not going round. Nigeria is too rich. I'm happy that Tinubu said it sometime that nobody is supposed to be poor in this country. And that is the way the Lord made it. But unfortunately, bad leadership has kept us where we are today. But what are we going to do to salvage this situation? That is the big time question. What will be your contribution? And what will you tell your children unborn? That what will you say was your role when these things, were happening? That is the much we are going to take today. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi, we are pleased to have you again today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And this is your command, Chinedum Gotsanadiele, saying bye for now.
I was trying to separate the issues and clarify them. Our party is not involved in whatever is going on in River State. Certainly, our president has no hand in it. Now, as for Wike, a lot of our party members are actually pretty uncomfortable with some of his antics. That's just the bitter truth, Our president called Governor Subara, tried to achieve a settlement between the two parties, and then the next thing we hear, some people are decamping, and there are moves to impeach the governor, and then we woke up one morning and then a budget is presented. Some people are their seats are declared vacant. The House of Assembly is being demolished. These are really, really, really very, very bad optics. That is just the truth. And I personally am uncomfortable with not only a lot of our party members. Maybe they are not because they've not been coming out to say that much. They are highly uncomfortable with Minister Wike and what are basically his excesses. You are a minister of the Federal Republic, for God's sake. You are not even a member of our party. Our president gave you an appointment. Face your job, for God's sake. Just face the job. Enough of these antics, these excesses. You know, it is for you to have managed your relationship with your godson. If peradventure there is a problem there, if the president calls you and tries to settle the problem between both of you, then even just common decency. I mean, the optics does not look good. Is it that our president is not big enough to give Minister Wike an instruction, go and settle with your son? We are politicians. There is a way politicians approach issues. The president has called you, he's your boss. We don't have two captains in our ship in APC. Maybe they do in PDP. Where there's Atiku here, there's Wike here, there's Obi there, there's whoever somewhere. In our own party, we have just one captain, and our captain is Bola Tinubu, President Bola Tinubu. So a lot of us are really uncomfortable with this. We don't need these distractions for our president. You came from another party, you are part of our government. Please just behave yourself and do the job our president gave you to do, and stop all these distractions. Leave this young man alone. Settle with him and let's get on.